Check it out, guys. We got several things going on. Never mind this delicious peanut butter chocolate that we're going to be making real soon. But Tegan over here is cutting up the garlic scapes, and we are making some super delicious garlic. I don't want to call it pesto, but like garlic preserves. It's just garlic and olive oil. Came to us originally just last year from one of the viewers, Mom Computer. Thank you very much. Giving you a shout out there, because without your suggestion I would not have tried it. But at first I didn't like it because I thought, oh, it's a pesto. You know, they call it garlic scape pesto. And I'm like, oh, pesto. So we made some pasta and tossed it with the pasta, and it was just unbearably spicy, like burn your mouth off garlicky. And so what we realized is that it is it's basically the way to preserve the garlic scapes. And so then we just use it a spoonful at a time when a recipe calls for garlic, and we put it in the freezer in mason jars. It's awesome. I mean, I'm as excited about that as I am about the actual garlic that is going to be harvested here in about 2 or 3 weeks. Check it out, guys. Here's a little portion of the 2026 what is formerly known as Egyptian walking onions, now known as Viking rowing onions, we've decided. So these are like a perennial bulbing and bunching onion. They're kind of like shallots down below. You know, they get kind of like that, like little, they don't really bulb up, but they get shallots. Then you can use the green part, and then the bulbils I like to kind of ferment sometimes, and they just keep producing. This is the hardiest plant in the garden for sure. So here in about August, September, when they're totally ripe, I think we'll have more for sale. If you guys so desire, hit me up, let me know. If there's interest, I'll have a link in the video descriptions when that time comes. It won't be till like August, but we might take some pre-orders. And so it begins, guys. Look at this endless wall of swimsuits that we have to look through. I like that one.
I was thinking of this one.
This one's kind of cute.
Yeah, that one's more appropriate right there.
I'm not putting that on my stomach.
Check it out, guys. This stuff now, this is how we're storing it. It is super amazingly pungent. It's just the olive oil and the scapes. But look, yes, store it in these. This is the best way, and make sure that all of the air is out. And then we just get one out and use it throughout the week for the cooking. You don't have to peel the garlic, and it gives it a really unique kind of flavor, so deep. And we're probably gonna have like 15, probably 20, 25 jars of this stuff that will keep us all winter. So super excited. Check it out, guys. One of my favorite herbs, but only for when we're sick though. And that's like the only time that I take it, because the catnip, because it's got a very sedative sort of quality to it, but it definitely has a strong medicinal properties. When like there was like some kind of a strong flu bug or something going around this winter, and everyone was getting it, and I got it and then drank like 10 cups of this on the day. I mean, drank a bunch of it and just slept for like 24 hours, and that was it. Over. I mean, 24 hours later, fever gone, everything fine. So I definitely like this catnip for the medicinal properties. We want to get it first thing in the morning and right before it flowers. That's the time. So it's looking like it wants to flower pretty soon. So we're gonna go ahead and take this cutting, and this is the spearmint. So we'll probably take that another time. But we're gonna go ahead and take this and dehydrate it at 120 degrees for about 18 hours. The only thing you gotta watch out for is the cats tend to get a little excited when you start harvesting this stuff. She never messes with it when it's growing though. I don't know if she puts the two together. So she only gets all freaky and stuff when I actually pick it and then give it to her. Other than that, she just doesn't even pay any attention to it. How you doing? Hmm? Have a little too much catnip? Hmm? A little paranoid now? What? What'd you say? What? Okay, we're gonna take some of the garlic scape pesto. We're gonna put some of that in there, like that. Go ahead and get up close and show them. There we go, like that. Okay, you stay right there and just kind of focus on that. Okay, and then we're going to put some of this garlic, or this ginger from last year that we had pickled. Whoops, careful. Back a little bit. Whoops. There we go. Really difficult to film, actually, so we're probably not going to be able to do that. But we've got some yod pha, some peas, and we got the beef. It's going to be super good. Here we go. That's pretty much what it looks like. All the time we're eating this fresh stuff. Finished product right here, guys. That's pretty much how we're eating from the garden. We've got the pickled onions with some good stuff, and then we've got the pickled, or the fermented green onions from last season, actually, still perfectly good. Yod pha, several different things. We got the peas here, super nourishing, delicious. There's Fleegan's dish.
I just got out of the shower.
Just got out of the shower.
Yeah.
Now we're about to grub. Yeah. So guys, check it out. I've got this volunteer sunflower stand, and most of them, except for this bindweed right here that I just got rid of at the base, most of them are very nice and healthy, and everything is looking good. But I have to thin them aggressively, because if we don't thin these, then they'll just be a huge mess. So as difficult as it is, and as painful as it is, for people like us to cut down perfectly good, healthy, thriving plants, you know, there's just no way that, I mean, this thing was right here. Look at all those. There was like 3 or 4, you know, and what'll happen is that they'll just get lanky and fall over, and then they won't grow to the fullest beauty of their genetic potential. So you have to sacrifice the weakest half of them, really, or even 2/3 of them, so that the other ones can become more like this, you know, nice and thick and sturdy. And so about 2 feet is what I like. 18 inches, you know, 2 feet. Even this will end up being kind of close, because these are evening sunflowers. They get like 8 feet tall with like 15 different flower branches on them. It's so cool. So these are just getting started. Now I'm gonna be taking this off, because remember we've exhausted the peas, and we had that total catastrophe with the sparrows and everything. So we're gonna take this netting off for now, get in there, thin out a lot of those. But one thing that I have had success with, just because I like to pack every available inch, and so the sunflower like this one here that falls down like that is actually going to be really cool. It will branch out and produce flowers like that look like they're just along the ground. It'll be super cool. So yes, I'm going to thin these down. I'm going to get them away from where the cucumbers are growing and stuff like that. So one thing I want to show you guys that, well, I realized I didn't plant any honey nut squash anywhere. So this is the spot where I had one of my old compost piles. And so it's super, super rich. You can still see the eggshells, of course, even though it's been several years since I had a compost pile here. The eggshells will take years and years and years to break down. And so the soil, no doubt, is rich though. So I put like 5 of the honey nut squash seeds. Once they start sprouting, I'm gonna train it out along here. I'm gonna let it run in between a lot of the stuff here, because we're talking every available inch is gonna be growing the food. So it's gonna look really good. But here we look, ginger mint. Guys, I just had a nice, awesome tea with this yesterday. Ginger mint, very, very fruity and delicious tasting. Yes. We had a storm last night that kind of rocked out the dill a little bit. Not sure what happened there, but we got plenty of other dill. We love sunflowers so much that we're probably even gonna leave this volunteer right here. We're probably gonna leave that volunteer here, and we just planted the pole beans, the filet, the emirate, the real tender green beans. So they are only gonna get about 8 feet tall. So it's not gonna be a huge mess of them trying to grow 20 feet like the rattlesnakes. So yeah, it is the middle of June here, or June 10th or something like that. And we just now planted the pole beans. So you guys got plenty of time. And the tomatoes are starting to pop off. We're not even pruning them this year. I mean, we're just gonna do, I really don't think I'm gonna do anything to them at all. Just make sure that they stay inside the cages. And that generally produces the best, healthiest plants in my experience. So yeah, it's definitely a late season, but it's getting going.
This is,
I literally talked to Jake.
so
or
it'll
John,
probably be
when we
big.
were well into it.
Maybe.
Asked him why we were doing it. It was like, well, it was either,
Like you could probably get into that.
everything we wanted to do.
swim
And underwear.
That was in
It's swim
November.
gear. Oh, and
All right.
I know, I love this.
Okay, Julie, here is so for your question, it depends on what kind of tomatoes you're growing. Indeterminates like this will get enormous, and so they're gonna fill out these whole cages and spill over into the aisleways, just produce boatloads of tomatoes. If they were determinate, such as Romas, then you could go a bit tighter, but I really wouldn't. If you're using the Viking growing system, they'll be the biggest tomato plants you've ever seen, for sure, because that's just how it goes. So these are about 2 feet, but they're staggered. So those are 2 feet, but in between these is 4 feet. The main thing is that you want to be able to get to all sides of the tomato, because we will have to prune a little bit. See, for you guys, I'm doing a little bit of an experiment. Here's the Viking tomatoes, the 2 exact tomato varieties. This one, I'm not gonna prune at all. I'm just letting it go totally wild. You can already tell there at the base, it's getting a lot more vegetative growth. This one I'm gonna prune decently, and we'll just see the difference. I wanna illustrate that to you guys. So I wouldn't go any closer than that if you're doing the proper Viking growing system. If you're not, and they don't get all that big, then you could go closer, but tomatoes will, it's all about, the system is also all about keeping pest and disease away. And so you could pack them tighter, but for maximum disease prevention, I never get diseases anymore of any kind for that stuff. So you want plenty of airflow. So here we've got our storage onions really starting to pop off. These are probably either the Rosas or the New York Early, I can't quite tell, but they're starting to get nice and thick and upright for the most part. So those are the long-term storage ones, but the one that we're trying this year, total experiment, it was like some kind of candy roaster hybrid, thing, but I actually don't think that I looked at the day length of them, believe it or not. So I'm getting the feeling that they're not actually long day onions, because they're bulbing aggressively already, and some of them are even got the bent neck, and they're real tiny. So I'm gonna have to go back and look, but it doesn't really matter. We're eating these, as fresh eating. So I mean, that's not bad. That's not a bad little size or whatever. Maybe there's some kind of intermediate day, but it's way too early for onions. I mean, we're still 2 weeks from the solstice or whatever. So it's way too early for that. But I don't know what's going on. I think I might have mistook the day length, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna have a lot of stuff to harvest. Guys, there's gonna be so much garlic, and look, if you can tell, it is thicker than my thumb. I mean, super huge thick. And so this is gonna be, there's 500 cloves here. I don't even know where we're gonna hang these. They're not going in the basement again. So we're probably about 2 weeks away from that. And then here you can see the Rosa di Milano onions. We planted the best storage ones from last year. You see, we only planted three bulbs, three of the best onions that stored all winter long. And so now these are going to be our seeds for next year. Yes, they're gonna start flowering here real soon, and we will save all of these because they are all the rosas that we want. Look guys, here's one thing that I'm always trying to tell people, to layer your stuff. And I will have a mini course by next year coming out for this whole technique, and including exact crops. But see, while the peas, the remainder of the peas are still in the ground, I have planted the cucumber. And so the peas are pretty much all done by now. So we're gonna take them out and let the cucumbers grow. But if we waited until we took out all the peas, you know, to plant the cucumbers, we'd be weeks behind. So instead, we've got some healthy cucumbers that'll be exploding with growth here in no time.